We left you off last time talking about that the bondage of Egypt was a terrible burden for the children of Israel, but God had not forsaken them then, and He's not going to forsake them now because He loves His people. All right. The fourth point we want to point out about God's power is that God's power eliminates the influence and control of paganism upon the people of this world. And we're going to look at Exodus 12:12 and Numbers 33:4. Okay, Exodus 12:12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Then, in Numbers 33:4, for the Egyptians buried all their firstborn which the Lord had smitten among them. Upon their gods also the Lord executed judgments. You see, Egyptians believed, let's take for example, Egyptians believed that the Nile River was the bloodstream of the god Osiris. Now, in the light of this historical fact, it is fascinating to read Exodus 7:17 and 18, where it says, Thus saith the Lord, in this thou shalt know that I am the Lord. Behold, I will smite with the rod that is in mine hand upon the waters which are in the river, and they shall be turned to blood. And the fish that is in the river shall die, and the river shall stink, and the Egyptians shall loathe to drink of the water of the river. Now, pagan literature records the following in a document called Hymn to the Nile. It says that the Nile River is the bringer of food, rich in provisions, creator of all good, Lord of majesty, sweet of fragrance. Ancient Egyptians taught that fish were protected by the gods. And it is quite amazing to read Exodus 7:21, where we read that, of course, all the fish died. All right. We now come to the 6-point NUS study. It's enduring reactions. Egypt's enduring reactions to nations and events in the land of Israel. Throughout the Bible, we run into Egypt in relation to other nations and events. For your own personal study, we're going to give you this. Okay? Number 1, Israel. There are 2 major events in addition to the bondage of Israel in Egypt for over 400 years. One deals with King Solomon. See, in 1 Kings 3:1, he made a treaty with Pharaoh of Egypt. In 1 Kings 10:28, Solomon imported horses from Egypt as well as chariots, mentioned in verse 29. We also have the relationship of Solomon to the daughter of Pharaoh, mentioned in 1 Kings 11:1-4. The second major event is that mentioned in 1 Kings 14:25-28 and concerns Solomon's son Rehoboam. This event is pictured on the walls of the temple of Karnak in Luxor, Egypt. It is the time when Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Rehoboam and took all the treasures of the temple and the king's house to Egypt. These precious gold treasures were then replaced with brass items. Okay, number 2 is Assyria. The following Israeli kings were involved in the connections between Egypt and Assyria. You have Hosea, Hezekiah, Josiah, Jehoaz, and Joachim. The passages include 2 Kings chapters 17-19 and 2 Kings 23. Okay. The third is Babylon. The connections with Israel and Babylon and Egypt happened under King Jehoiakim and King Zedekiah, as well as a man named Gedaliah, the governor. Now you can read about these events in 2 Kings 24 and 25, and I promise you that as you read it and you try and pronounce these names outright, they're some real tongue twisters. Okay. The next one is Greece. Now get a load of this. The Grecian Empire of Alexander the Great was broken up between his 4 generals: Lysimachus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Seleucid. This amazing story and its effect upon the land of Israel is recorded in Daniel 11. All right, now let's look to the future. Finally, the future. Okay. Egypt is once again mentioned in relation to a future king who is described in detail at the end of Daniel 11. Now, most Bible scholars believe that this future king to be the same person as the man of sin or the beast or the Antichrist. According to Daniel 11:42-43, Egypt will also receive the attacks of this future king, also called the coming prince, in Daniel 9:26-27. Many scholars also connect this person to the little horn of Daniel 7. Now, one of the exciting realities of the future as it relates to Egypt, and this is amazing, folks, is the prophecy of Isaiah 19:23-25. Here's what it says. In that day there shall be a highway out of Egypt to Assyria, and the Assyrian shall come into Egypt, and the Egyptian into Assyria, and the Egyptians shall serve with the Assyrians. In that day shall Israel be the third with Egypt and with Assyria, even a blessing in the midst of the land, whom the Lord of hosts shall bless, saying, Blessed be Egypt my people, and Assyria the work of my hands, and Israel mine inheritance. There's a day coming, folks, when Israel will be the third with Egypt, even a blessing in the midst of the land. The Lord of hosts will even say, Blessed be Egypt my people. Now we come to the last part of our study, is Egypt's enthusiastic response to the gospel. Look, Egypt took care of the Messiah himself in Matthew 2:13-21, and we can even see that in Numbers 24:8 and Hosea 11:1. But the conversion of people in Egypt resulted from the conversion of the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts 8:26-38, where we read this. And the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise, and go toward the south, unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is, well, it's desert. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch, of great authority, under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, and he was returning, sitting in his chariot, reading Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near, and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. The place of the scripture which he read was this: He was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so opened he not his mouth. In his humiliation his judgment was taken away. And who shall declare his generation? For his life is taken from the earth. And the eunuch answered Philip and said, I pray thee, of whom speaketh the prophet this? Of himself, or of some other man? Then Philip opened his mouth, and began at the same scripture, and preached unto him Jesus. And as they went on their way, they came unto a certain water, and the eunuch said, See, here's water, what doth hinder me to be baptized? And Philip said, Well, if thou believest with all thine heart, thou mayest. And he answered and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. And they commanded the chariot to stand still, and they went down both into the water, both Philip and the eunuch, and Philip baptized them. Isn't that amazing? The Coptic believers of today trace their history back to this event in Acts 8. That's amazing. All right, well, look, we hope you have enjoyed this study of Egypt, and that it will inspire you to dig in to what the Bible has to say in terms of history